This is the story of surveillance, speed, and survival, a dark comedy thriller. On February 2013, a new warehouse worker called Cameron starts his first day at Amazon's sprawling fulfillment center in a suburb of Seattle. The facility is massive, covering more than 1 million square feet. It's about the size of 18 American football fields. It's filled with thousands of employees who are tasked to pick, pack, and ship customer orders. And it operates like a well-oiled machine. Each worker has a scanner, and they move quickly from shelf to shelf, picking up the products that have been ordered. And each package has a barcode which is scanned over and over again throughout its journey from warehouse to doorstep. Barcodes that control us. Cameron doesn't know it yet, but soon he'll become part of this machine. He's just doing what he's told, and he's trying to do a good job. But within an hour of starting work, he accidentally picks the wrong item for an order. Because of this, the whole order is late, and he gets a performance improvement plan. His coworkers tell him not to worry because he has 2 more chances before he gets fired. But Cameron wants to avoid being fired, so he pays even closer attention to his tasks. But it's a losing battle. He keeps making mistakes, which means he's constantly being watched. The scanners beep, buzz, and flash at him. Cameras track his every move, and his managers hover nearby, waiting for him to make a mistake so they can write him up. In other words, Big Brother is watching him, and if he makes one more mistake, he'll be out of here. But that's nothing compared to what's coming next, because later that week, Cameron is called into the office of the facility manager. Inside, he sits down across from the manager, who tells him that someone stole a gun from a truck that was delivering packages to the warehouse. Now the cops are investigating, but they need the security footage from that night, so Cameron is asked to go and get it. As he walks through the high-tech security room, he finds a vast array of screens showing live images of the warehouse floor and the parking lot. There are so many cameras everywhere that workers have nicknamed the facility the Panopticon. And there's no break from being watched, not even in the bathroom. There's a screen in there too, although it's covered by a post-it note. Cameron peeks behind it to see a live feed of the toilet. He then leaves and gets the footage of the parking lot to give to the cops. But in return, they give him something else, a USB drive filled with surveillance footage from the warehouse. He's meant to erase the old footage to make space for new footage. But as he watches it, he sees a coworker urinating in a mop bucket. The next day, he shows the video to his boss, but he is told not to worry about it because the company deals with that sort of thing internally. But Cameron is unsettled by how little his coworkers seem to care about being spied on all the time. Then on another day, Cameron goes to the bathroom and notices that the post-it note has been removed from the screen. Someone is watching him right now, he thinks. A few minutes later, as he's walking through the warehouse, he sees a man staring at him from behind a shelf. Then he runs away. When Cameron reports this incident to his boss, he's written up for making false accusations. All the while, his paranoia grows. At night, he hears noises and thinks his apartment is being robbed. So he sets up a surveillance system in his apartment with cameras and motion sensors. But when the police come to his apartment following a noise complaint from his neighbor, they find nothing. Meanwhile, back at work, Cameron asks to speak to the warehouse manager, but he's denied. Instead, he's summoned to another meeting with the same manager, who tells him he's under investigation for stealing. This is news to Cameron because he hasn't stolen anything. But after asking a few questions, he realizes that someone has been scanning barcodes that he scans. They're following him around, delaying his route, and forcing him to take longer to complete his tasks. And when he complains, he's told to suck it up. That's part of the gig. If he doesn't like it, he can quit. But Cameron isn't quitting. He's going to find out who's sabotaging him. The problem is, he doesn't know where to start. There are 40,000 barcodes in the warehouse, each one attached to a different product. But he does have one advantage, his scanner. On its face, the scanner looks like any other. Its screen displays numbers and letters, but if you turn it upside down, you can see a hidden display with real-time GPS coordinates.
Ow.
So all Cameron needs to do is scan a barcode and follow the coordinates to find it. But he has no idea that this scanner is already being tracked, you see. The company has installed software that records every scan so they can monitor how long it takes workers to find products. And this data is used to measure their productivity. Working through the night, Cameron follows barcode to barcode until he finds one leading him outside to a car park. There he sees his coworker leaving in a company van. In the morning, Cameron reports his coworker for stalking him, but once again he's brushed off. However, when Cameron goes to check his van, he sees that it's been broken into and the license plate has been stolen. Suddenly, he understands why nobody believes him. The company doesn't want anyone to leave with a license plate, because all the license plates are fake. They belong to stolen cars. The warehouse manager comes up to him and warns him to stay out of things that do unconcern him. Cameron says he won't, but the manager knows he's lying. You see, when Cameron was hired, he signed a document giving the company permission to run a full background check on him. They discovered he had a criminal past and would have almost certainly been rejected if he hadn't erased his own record. He was convicted for selling drugs while in college, but he did that under an alias. He was so desperate to get a job at Amazon that he decided to hide his real identity. With no references or friends that could vouch for him, he drove all the way to Washington State, rented a hotel room, and started working at the warehouse the very next day. But that's not the only thing he was hiding, because at the beginning of the film, we learn that Cameron was on the run from a dangerous crime boss named Bones. See, Cameron had worked for Bones in the past as a courier, but he was forced to switch jobs when he made a mistake and delivered a package to the wrong person. To make matters worse, the package contained a hit list, and when the target found out that Cameron was responsible, he tried to kill him. Cameron managed to escape, but he was still wanted by the mob and by the police. So he thought starting a new job in another state under a false identity would allow him to lay low, and maybe one day he could clear his name. But now he's being stalked at work. His license plate has been stolen, and his secret is at risk of being exposed. So he makes a decision to fight back. Coming up, Cameron manages to hack into the company's computer system and discover the name of the coworker who's been following him. Deborah, like Cameron. She also has a scanner, but hers is on a different channel, so he tries to track her down. He follows her through the warehouse and eventually finds her in the bathroom. She's sitting on the toilet and watching the live feed of her own bathroom on the screen. She looks up and smiles at Cameron. She then exits the stall and approaches him. She's holding a knife. She admits that she's been following him, and she warns him that he's being followed by other people too. People who aren't afraid to use violence. She knows who he really is, and if he doesn't stop digging around, she'll make sure he doesn't make it home tonight. She then leaves him standing there and walks away. Cameron has a choice to make. Does he keep fighting to expose the truth? Does he run away from his problems and hide in the shadows forever? Well, he chooses to do neither. He runs into the bathroom, hacks into the main server, and erases Deborah's personnel file. In the morning, she logs in to find out that her account has been deleted. She frantically asks the warehouse manager what happened, but he claims to know nothing. So she demands to speak to the IT guy. And when he tells her that he erased her file, she realizes that Cameron is behind all of this. Now, Deborah works for the mob, and when she gets word that a mole at Amazon has destroyed her file, she becomes enraged. She's sent to the warehouse to find Cameron and bring him back to the boss. Meanwhile, Cameron learns that Deborah works for the mob too. That's why everyone's license plates were fake. And that's why they didn't care when Deborah accused him of stalking. He's being hunted by a powerful crime organization, and he doesn't have anywhere to go. He calls his sister, but she doesn't want him to come home, and nowhere is safe. So he drives around all day, staying one step ahead of the mob. And as night falls, he decides to fight back. He returns to the warehouse, jumps onto the roof, and plugs his scanner into a power source. Using a special program, he redirects the security cameras to a big screen in the security office. And when the guards walk in, they see a distorted version of themselves on the screen. Scared, they try to unplug the scanner, but it's too late. The footage is recorded, and soon the entire warehouse is watching them. In response, the mob cuts power to the building. In the darkness, Cameron uses a blowtorch to cut a hole through the roof. He then drops down into the warehouse and confronts Deborah. She pulls out a gun and points it at him, but it's empty. She only intended to scare him. But as she lowers her weapon, he knocks her out. Later, the mob arrives and finds Deborah on the ground. Bones is furious, and he vows revenge. And the last shot is of Cameron driving away from the warehouse. He's fast, but he's not fast enough because suddenly a car pulls up alongside him. Out steps a man carrying a suitcase. He opens it to reveal a bazooka.